Hi, welcome to Quirky Queen's Journals. My name's Kirsten and today I am making some scrapbook paper to use in a junk journal. I've tried to make it like the digitals that I see other people using, and I'm actually really pleased with how this one turned out. So I've made this with watercolour, gesso and some metallic acrylic paint, stencils and some adverts and newspaper clippings out of this Bygone Britain book, which you can buy for about £2.50, £3 maybe on eBay. They have at play, at work, at home. The only thing is it does go up to 1970, so some of it might be too modern, just depending on what you're looking for. So I attempted to do it with different colours and different stencils, and I felt it came out a bit bland. There's not the same level of contrast, and I feel the leaf stencil was far too big, and then when I tried to repair it, it's just gotten, do you know, I actually feel like I would probably want to stick some more. I wouldn't use adverts again, and obviously the music sheets underneath. I would choose something, maybe just little bits of book page, something to just try and give me a bit more to work with. But I will keep trying to repair that one. So for the purposes of this video, because when I used the kind of more vintage colours, it's not worked as well, but this is beautiful. I'm just going to use the same colour palette again, and I'm going to use this honeycomb stencil because I just want to show you how I did it, and hopefully with time I'll get better at it and I can use other stuff. But right now we'll use these kind of blue, green and yellow that work really well together. Okay, so I'm just going to get started. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to have it a bit darker towards the outside. I'm trying to make this like a background page that you would actually want to keep and use as a full page rather than cut up. So book pages. So this paper is quite thin and it's quite glossy. It's not very absorbent. So I'm using book pages to just absorb the extra paint so that it doesn't all run together, and also to compress the stencil to try and give a really good impression, of which it has on there. Oh, that is super. Look at that. Right, so I'm going to go up and do here as well. What I would also say is don't set things at like the horizontal or the vertical. Try and go at different angles with these stencils because you want it to look quite natural, as if, so that it doesn't just, it's not just like a line coming down the page. I feel like we've set a precedent with that one because that is amazing. And you know, see when you use these book pages to soak up the paints with the stencil that you're using, it's going to add, if you use them within the same junk journal, it's going to add cohesion because, you know, you're creating the same shapes with the same depth of colour. Right, I'm going to go for the green this time. Now, see when I'm doing this, I just roughly do it. I just try and make sure, I just try and make it so that it's darker at kind of one point and it gets lighter as it goes. And generally I do achieve that by just adding more to the corner, to be fair, rather than any specific artistic skill. And it doesn't matter as well, see if you come out the page like that, that's okay. Because at the end of the day as well, this is just creating a base layer. Maybe could just press that one again. But anyway, it'll be fine. Right, I'm going to give that a little dry with the heat gun before I do any more. I don't mind about my colours mixing a wee bit here because it's it just adds a bit of cohesion as well, because having that wee bit of green in amongst that blue there just brings them together. So I'm going to put some yellow here. And I'm using Orolin. It's quite a vibrant yellow actually, I think. I'm just trying to have a kind of centre point that it all kind of fades out from. There we go. And I think a little bit of blue in here. And we'll put a bit of gesso just in the bits, just to sort of blend it a wee bit. And then we'll start sticking the flowers down. Okay, so it's dried and I found some little pictures. I'm going to put some gesso on. Now, I'm just going to put it on, I always say this, quite sparingly, and then I end up getting it all over the place. All I'm really trying to do is, I'm just putting it in the areas, just to create a kind of blur. So see where they kind of join? So I've not actually got flowers as such. I found these little gardening books, so I'm going to use some of them. Now I find if you tear the papers that they blend easier rather than having straight lines. And also when you put them down, take some of them right up to the edge of the pages as if the page is bigger than this, so that it gives the impression that there's more happening out with the page. It just makes it more pleasing to look at. Right, now I'm going to gesso basically around the edges to try and help it blend. I do find with this one I just end up actually covering it all with it, and I don't know why. I think what I do is I end up covering the majority of it in gesso, and then I go back and add in more where I feel it's needed. When you mute it like that, it pushes it into the background, which means that when you put on your focal point, it stands out more, but it also gives depth to it. So it looks like there's a lot more going on underneath. I'm happy with that just now. So I'm going to dry this, and then we'll get out the stencils and we'll do some more watercolour, but we will do it less so we'll do smaller areas. So we're doing well, it's taking shape. You can see the base of it starting. Anyway, what I'm going to do when I put the watercolours on as well, I'm going to move the gesso, is like the yellows here, so I'm going to use it a bit more on the outer edges. And like say, I might have moved that there. Always have at least one disaster. I'm just trying to do smaller areas. Nice. Okay, I'll give that a quick dry. Right, I'm going to do some blue here. A wee bit in the middle as well, I think. I'm more just dabbing into it just to add some little, because see when we put the honeycomb stencil down, you know, a lot of areas are going to be kind of hidden, so these colours will just kind of pop through rather than looking like they're separate like they do just now. Wow, that blue's amazing. It really is. just want to put a little bit of blue here and a little bit of green there. Okay, so we're going to do a bit more gesso, but this time we're just looking for wee areas where we think it would benefit from just having a bit of contrast, I suppose. I rubbed a wee bit too hard there. See, if I had some water, I wouldn't have messed up that paint the same. I'm going to do it with the brush actually. I feel like I'm being a wee bit heavy-handed. Okay, so I wouldn't worry about overly blending it at the moment, because a lot of what you're doing just now is you just try to blur areas, soften it. So we're going to go for the honeycomb stencil now with the gold and the silver. Okay, so when I do this, I always kind of start in the corner or at the side, somewhere a wee bit more discreet, because that way that you can then sort of make a decision in a bit how hard to press and how much paint to put on your brush and how wet your brush should be. So the gold doesn't come up a great deal, but that's what you want just now, because the bronze, when you put the bronze down, that's when you're going to notice the big difference. And again, just like we did with the last stencil, I'm only doing little areas, which this honeycomb stencil actually works really well for. Okay, now we're going to go in with, I'll dry it and then we'll go in with the bronze. Sorry, I forgot to restart the video. I started putting the bronze on. I'm just putting it on in very small areas, but trying to put it on quite darkly. But I did a sort of test patch in the corner to see how the paint responded to the stencil and what we've done already. I feel like my brush is too wet. Oh, I'm going to dry it. There we go. And what I'm going to do is just put on some very light white ones. Very light. So that's them done. I actually think, because red and green are complementary colours, I do think that the copper in these two, they actually all work together. The first one I did is still my favourite by far. And I think it's this fairy and the fruit and this font here. These three things really come to life in it. And these other two, I don't know whether or not I've been heavy-handed, but they just don't have that same focal point under it that they do, that this one does. And I'm thinking that maybe next time, I think what I've done is I've done this and I've been really light and gentle because I can see a lot more of the music coming through, except that when I've done these two, I've been a bit gung-ho and I've been a bit heavy-handed with the layering. But then you get different results with it, don't you? Because that's more like a background page. Yeah, that you would add to. Same with this one. But this one's almost like a page that you would just put little embellishments on to highlight. You know, I could see that one in the centre of the signature. So, anyway, I'm going to keep experimenting, trying lots of different techniques to make these journal pages. It's all different things that everybody likes about journaling, and for me, I just like trying to find new ways to put things together and to create, I suppose, like themes. And I like using the kind of arty stuff as well. So anyway, thanks very much for watching. I hope to see you soon and take care.